KCAA.
Working in the margins. Dealing with our challenges, assessing needs, and finding solutions. Short-term, mid-range, and long-term. Solutions can find us working in the margins. Today's world is a tough baseline. It's more difficult than ever to just exist or get by. And it's not getting any easier. Moving forward in today's world has become both an art and a science. Food, clothing, temporary shelter, long-term housing, short-term jobs, temporary employment, or long-range careers. It all takes some help and finesse. Not everyone can do it. It's an art and a science. And let's face it, not everyone is a scientist. Some people need more help than others. The basics like reliable transportation, internet, laundry, a regular shower, even water, those basics we all take for granted. Electricity, these are the challenges of those caught in the net. Are homeless, unhoused, housing challenged, living in the margins. People of all ages, young, middle-aged, senior citizens, entire families, male, female, all reasons and all walks of life. Anyone can find themselves living in the margins. Homelessness and the challenges that go with it are not going away, and we can't ignore them. It's just too expensive. We've got to do better. Take the next step forward. Tune in now and listen to Working in the Margins.
Good afternoon, San Bernardino, Inland Empire. This is Shazette with Family Assistance Program, and this is Working in the Margins. And this is our weekly radio show. We come to you on KCAA from the beautiful Teamsters Local 1932 building downtown San Bernardino. So today is our last show of the year. And I'm super excited to call this show the Happiness, Hope, and Help Edition. The happiness part is my guest, Ifeanyi Locker from Motivational Realizations. He's the happiest, one of the happiest persons I know. He's also an advocate for our community. I call him a community organizer. Do you consider yourself a community organizer?
Yeah, one of my hats that I wear is actually a paid community organizer for the nonprofit that I work for, Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity.
Okay, I'm going to ask you more about them. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what you do too.
All right.
And what we're going to do today, Ifeanyi and we're going to talk about how we're inspiring and encouraging people through challenges. Maybe it's emotional, maybe it's political. All of this is a mindset. And we have to, sometimes we have to adjust our mindset. We have to expand our mindset. But there's lots of changes that are happening right now in our communities, in our country. And so I want to talk to Ifeanyi. I asked Ifeanyi to come on because for our communities also, but for me, I want you to help me. I want you to tell me how we're going to get through the next 4 years. And then I also want to share, though, how we've gotten through the times like this before.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
right?
indeed. Yes,
we
indeed.
have. So the hope is I'm going to do kind of a year in review of the good work that we've done. We're going to talk about some of that in here in the IE. And then what are we hopeful for in 2025 for our communities? What do we want to see more of in our communities? What do we want to advocate around? What do we want to do for each other's causes, and what is out there that we can collaborate around is I think is more. And if anybody out there in listening land and radio land and podcast land, if you want to call in to the studio to tell me what you are hopeful for to be happening in 2025, our call-in number is 909-383-1000. I'm here until 3. Our wonderful engineer, Eric, I've heard him called E-Money.
E-Money.
Will happily connect you to me and to the show. So give us a call. That's 909-383-1000 and tell me what you are hopeful for in 2025. The help part of the show is I'll be reviewing all the new laws in California to take effect in 2025. There's a lot of new laws on the books. We just had elections, so and the governor signed quite a few. I think about 1,000, but I don't know if they're all laws. Some of it might just be changes. But there are some laws on the books that I want to share, just to make sure everybody's well informed. If there's things that you need to be, looking out for on at work or on the streets, there's a new jaywalking law I'm going to talk about, so folks can so you can know what the rules. And there's new laws around parking around crosswalks. So I want to make sure. So I'm going to be sharing that with you later on in the show. Thank you all for tuning in for these last few months that I've had the honor and privilege of coming to you in this platform to share resources with you. I thank the agency that I work for inspiring us as a team, as team members, to sometimes step outside of our comfort zones. Family Assistance Program. Step outside of our comfort zones and embrace our talents and share our talents. We are advocates for folks that have lived experience, because sometimes that's where you find the real solutions.
Totally.
Are the folks that have lived through it already. So we promote that, and I'm not going to beat this drum too much, but I really can't express at my age, at 57 years old. I feel like I've been working in this community doing social service work for a really long time, but at my age, to really still have a position in our leadership at Family Assistance, but also to be able to have the freedom to do the work that I have been cultivating in partnerships and relationships all these years.
Amen.
Like with, I know there's certain folks, I just make a phone call or send an email and I don't have to worry about it anymore. People answer the phone for me, they call me, and I've done a lot of work in the community to keep that. And then coming to Family Assistance, and they were like, we want more of that.
That's what's up.
You can do more of that, and it's just been awesome. So a little bit about Ibiani. Ibiani was the catalyst for me inquiring about getting this platform with KCAA, because he has a show with Robert Porter, who I think everybody in San Bernardino knows. And he's also an advocate, a community organizer. He's on the city council as a commissioner, I believe. And I was watching your show, and listening to your show, and I was like, And then I kept seeing the name Mark Westwood, and I was like, I know him. I know him from a former life, and I was like, where did I know him? And then I asked my coworker, Christian, and he was like, yeah, you know him because he's from the Democratic Club, San Bernardino Democratic Club. And I was like, oh, okay. So your urgence and then Christian's connection, and I was like, I met Mark Westwood, and the rest is beautiful history.
On the mark.
He's an amazing person. He's an amazing GM. He's an amazing advocate. He believes in people and the needs of people. And he wanted me to come and do this show and talk about the work Family Assistance does in the community that deals with marginalized, the homeless. That was he says, what are we doing for our homeless? So that's how I got this big seat at this big table.
Hey now.
And I said, I want to bring as many people as I possibly can with me from our communities that are also doing the same work. And so to circle back around, I love full circles. Ibiani, you are here today, so I can personally say thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for your inspiration. Thank you for everything that you do in this community. I want you to, Ibiani is an artist, y'all. And he writes beautiful poetry, beautiful expressions of his heart and his emotion. And before we go to break, I'm going to have him read a piece that he wants to share with us today. So take it away, sir.
Definitely. Thank you, sister. And before I share this piece, I just want to highlight Mark, because what I appreciate about Mark is, yeah, he has his take and his view, but he opens the network to many different voices. You know, this is not an echo chamber. You'll have many different voices from different socioeconomic levels, different lived experiences, and this network is providing so many opportunities to highlight the amazing things that are happening throughout our community as well as the people, you know, such as yourself. So
thank you.
You know, so once again,
we
thank you.
try. We really try. We're trying to bring our community together.
Amen. Word
Right.
up. Word up. We're not trying. We're doing it.
We're
one
doing
day
it.
At a time.
We're doing it. We are.
There we go.
All right.
All right. Well, this piece I want to is dedicated to my mother. I actually wrote this piece to my mom, her twin sister, and my aunt Teresa, who's no longer with us, rest her soul, as well as, you know, our fathers, you know, dedicating this to our ancestry as well.
Our ancestors.
So this piece was written when they got their doctorates in theology, and it's called Faithful Determination. Pillar of excellence, set upon the foundation of the Lord's love, a strength like no other, a willingness like no other, a passion like no other, a loving mother like no other, uniquely special and gifted in every way, faithfully pouring love upon the family, upon the world, determination to succeed, to flourish, to thrive, to fly, soaring higher and higher into the limitless blue skies, into a new strata, into a new atmosphere, into a new dimension, unhindered and unchained upon the thrust of your graceful wings. Eagle spirit of the winded soul, anointed are the airs that flow within your flutter. Angel spirit of the rising soul, a light shines brighter than the sun itself, allowing us to see the path of purpose. You are faithful determination. Through your actions of effort, we now know that we are made able, dreams made real upon the muster of faith. We know that we can fly over any obstacle, over any barrier, over any limitations, with a grace that can only be seen and witnessed within flight. We look upwards towards the heavens as you glide upon the winds of love, the winds of favor, the same winds that you draw upon now, this breath of hope, this breath of love given. The winds of change within the chests of the breathing temples, the treasure of life within the living, the jewel that you are held within the potter's hands, while his light shines through you as we behold the opulence of his crafting. Faithful determination is the name given to you. Love you, Mom.
Oh man, that's awesome. Ifeanyi, man, that. Okay, we're gonna have to go to break so I can pull myself together. So I love a good word. All right, San Bernardino, we'll be right back.
Amazon Teamsters are ready to strike.
The fight is on.
Amazon Teamsters at 4 Southern California facilities have overwhelmingly authorized strikes after the corporation's continued refusal to recognize their union and negotiate contracts. Teamsters at 7 Amazon facilities have now voted to authorize strikes.
I believe that we are making history.
Making history, who wouldn't want to be a part of that?
Amazon Teamsters across Southern California are strike ready.
Us being strike ready means we're fed up and Amazon is clearly ignoring us and we want to be heard.
The fight is on.
You know, we're taking steps for ourselves to win better conditions, to win better benefits, better wages.
I hope it just go ahead and touches every other place and everybody joins in at once.
You know, if you work union, you live better.
We're in a different place now because of the Teamsters. You know, that's why I want to fight to become union.
And we're ready to take the fight to Amazon. The fight is on.
The fight is on for worker rights. Support our Teamster families. Don't cross the line in person and don't cross the line online.
It's a bird!
It's a plane.
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually, tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
KCAA.
Welcome back, San Bernardino, Inland Empire. This is Shazette with Working in the Margins. We are on KCAA, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and we are here in the wonderful Teamsters building, Local 1932, downtown. I have my guest, my happy guest, Ipiani Locker from Motivational Realizations. Ipiani, I want you to tell me a little bit, well, tell the community I know. Tell us a little bit about Motivational Realizations, why you're everywhere, and your nonprofit.
Definitely will. Motivational Realizations, the energy of positive thought, is a concept that I came up with over 10 years ago, right? You kind of set it off earlier. It's our mindset makes such a huge difference in our lived experience, you know? So it's trying to encourage people to discover the courage and strength within themselves and cultivate the gifts and talents that are ingrained in each one of us, because we each have unique talents and gifts that I believe this wholeheartedly, that we cultivate and utilize and share with the world, that it will create a path for us, a way to provide, hopefully even provide for ourselves and our families, right? So I try to do this through motivational speaking, engagements, inspirational talks, coaching, things of that nature, as well as creative expression, because I feel like we all have a story to tell, but often people think their stories have no value or no purpose.
Right.
Once again, that connecting to the mind, right?
Right.
I feel like our greatest battle in this lived experience, in my opinion, is that of our own mind, of our mindset, right?
You're right.
And it's about being our best cheerleader, not our worst enemy, because often we're so hypercritical upon ourselves. Like, we did 97% of it right, but we'll focus on that 3%.
On that little bit that we
did. That's still an A, yo. You did an A, you know? So
I know. I'm a student, and so I get it. And it's like, you know, you took 3 classes at the same time, and you're still working full time, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, C's get degrees. Yeah, but you know, sometimes we put the pressure on ourselves. Yeah. You know, and we build our own barriers. I know that we are sometimes terrible at practicing what we preach. So I want to ask you, how do you face your challenges? What is your process?
Definitely. Great question. How I face my challenges is truly like this, one day at a time, right?
Right.
I'm always of the mindset that I'm blessed to be alive with each given day, newly given day that I'm allowed to live, because this is a new day for all creations that live, you know? So keeping that framing keeps me appreciative, keeps me humble, and keeps me looking forward to the challenges and obstacles, right? Kind of like in that piece. I believe that we each are able to overcome whatever obstacles, hurdles. Sometimes these tests are shaping us to be the vessel that we need to be in this world, to serve whatever purpose that may be, right? But these challenges can shape us. So, and then speaking of challenges, one of my major challenges, and it kind of connects to our past lives to a certain extent, is I'm a survivor of Guillain-Barré syndrome, or GBS, and that's where your immune system attacks itself. So I was partially paralyzed for about a year. I could no longer use my hands, and I couldn't really feel my feet below my knees, right? So I would still try to get out. I walk about 6 miles a day each day, right? So I would get out there with my cane and wobble around, and you know what I mean? But, you know, I just wanted to thank my mom, my dad, my brother, my family for being there, because, you know, we take so much for granted, right?
So much for granted.
Just picking up my phone and dialing my phone, right? And not being in a position where I couldn't do that anymore, right?
Yes, sir.
I love video games. I'm a huge nerd, right? So not knowing if I ever was going to be able to play video games again, right? And one of the connections is that former Assembly member Jose Medina, who's now the Ward 1 Board of Supervisors in Riverside County, he's a survivor of Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Okay, good.
But the connection for us is that when Connie Leyva, Senator Connie Leyva, blessed me with the award of Terrific 20 in District 20, I was unable to attend that day because I was in the midst of Guillain-Barré syndrome, so I couldn't button up my shirt. So it was just, it was a nightmare.
But you were still the Terrific.
It was, it was a blessing. So
that was something we started when I was on her staff back during the Senate days. It was always, it was so important for us to recognize community. So it was an honor. It was for our community members. They would say later how important it was.
Oh, it was awesome.
So that's cool that you remember that.
And, on that same note, it was a blessing, because, Michael Townsend was over there as well and helping you guys organize your open house and bringing in the talent and some of the artwork and things like that. So that was that was 2 or 3 years that we did.
At the state building on 4th, I
totally.
remember. You brought in wonderful artists that came in and they had beautiful art. So we've been rocking. We go back a minute. I know about 10 years in, so we go back a minute.
For real.
I want to share some things that have been going on in the community, and I want us to talk a little bit about that and how you feel about that. So San Bernardino, I'm so excited about this development that I don't know what to do with myself sometimes. San Bernardino City has finally they're going into contracts for the development and the build out of the Homeless Navigation Center.
Okay.
I am so excited about this.
Is that the one they're calling the Care Center?
Yes. So it's going to be so vital in our community because I know you know and you keep up with the homeless plight. And the conditions of homeless, not in San Bernardino, but not just San Bernardino.
Yes.
This is throughout the county.
Totally.
We have
throughout
homeless.
the state.
Exactly. So we have homeless issues. But San Bernardino City has the highest population of homeless in the county. San Bernardino and then Victorville. Victorville has a beautiful wellness center that they have that meets, quite a few needs, the needs of Victorville. And San Bernardino really needed to do something, to save themselves, kind of.
No, I hear you.
From this plight, and so they got the money, they got the funding and everything to do this navigation, and then when they broke ground or they had the property, I was like, man, this is really going to happen.
Amen.
This is really going to happen.
Yeah.
And then as they we had the moratorium on the encampment cleanups. So the folks were, visible. They were visible in our parks, not great, but it's a cause of the condition. So, but now there's been camp cleanups, and there's, so they're not as visible, but they are still out there in places. And now the city is like, okay, by this time next year we could have a place for those folks to come, indeed. And I'm so excited. Because I know a lot of those folks on the street are people of color.
Yes.
People from marginalized communities.
Totally.
People who've lost hope.
Some are the working poor that can't afford rent and they have to live in their car and things like that. But they work 40 hours a week. Some continue to go to school. And so when we think about our unhoused community, it looks so many different ways.
It does. And there's no one look.
Yeah.
It could be, we work at Family Assistance, we work with every type of population and they look every kind of way. You have professionals. I've interviewed other agencies and they tell me the same thing from, professional techie people, big job money, little job money, in between. These people end up in treatment. They end up, in homelessness for, they lose money, and the higher you are, the longer the fall.
Yeah, totally.
But we have women from domestic violence. So I think it's really important that we. This is the hope part.
Yeah.
I want people to advocate for these people.
Yes, indeed. And that advocacy can look so many different ways as well, right? That could be say if you're a person of faith and you are part of a congregation, that could be simply connecting with California Action Partnership and setting up to do food distributions in your area, right?
Yes.
A lot of houses of worship used to be that community hub in our community back in the day, and you still have some that still do that, but it seems like a lot of them have kind of got away from that, and we need all hands on deck, you know what I mean?
And they're being incentivized now. Our faith-based organizations that have property or land are being incentivized to use that. I think it's called In My Backyard.
Definitely.
That program, they're asking churches, you know, hey, if you got extra property around and you want to add on housing components to that property, we're going to help you. We're going to make it easy for you to do that.
Definitely.
And that collaboration is hopefully going to create programs that have housing components.
Totally.
I think I have this saying that, you know, you may not, some people need beans, rice, and Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Some people need that.
True need.
Some people don't need, you know, they need different type of motivations. They don't need institutionalized, programs where they need to be in touch. They need to be, you know, so different needs for different folks. Faith-based programs work just as well for the populations.
And you know, when you think about AA or Alcohol Anonymous or NA, right? They don't name a specifically dogma, but they say that you need to connect spiritually with whatever resonates with each one, because there's so many practices.
Exactly.
There's
so many, and I always think a wise person knows about other religions and other practices, because if you're a community organizer or you're like me, a social service worker, you're going to come across those folks, you know. Right. And I've been embarrassed in my former life, uneducated life, about Hanukkah practices and, you know, and Ramadan practices, and, you know, and they're not all the same, you know, way back in my young years, you know, but now the observance of other religions or spiritual practices and things, and if you have none, that's even you should respect that.
That's your belief system.
Exactly. You know, so I wanted to talk about there's a couple of, I want to say, I want you to tell me if this gonna hurt or help. Okay, we're gonna play hurt or help.
All right.
Hold on.
And
okay.
This is just my opinion.
These are just the opinions of a couple of folks from the community.
That's it.
And you know, we stay in touch with some of the functionings and the policies and, you know, things going on in our state. So hurt or help as of 2025, and these are going to be fun. These aren't the hard ones. Okay, this is the workplace and employment minimum wage. As of 2025, the California state minimum wage will be raised to $16.50 per hour for all employers. Hurt or help?
I think that helps. And really, if the wages will really follow the cost of living and inflation, I believe the average wage should be around $35 per hour.
Yes.
So it helps, but we need to do a little better.
We need to do better. Right. That's how I feel. It helps, but we need to do better.
Yes,
we need to do better. And I think we are, and we will.
Amen.
Speak
it as we want it to be.
Yes, I think we are, and we will.
Amen.
This one is very important. It's unlawful discrimination and paid sick leave for victims of violence. So when an employee or a family member of the employee is a victim of crime or violence, the law allows the employee to take paid state leave time off for issues that relate to them being a victim, instead of the typical process of having to take 2 weeks out of vacation time before being able to tap into the paid state family leave hurt or help?
That helps, and I had the opportunity of working with Alliance for Safety and Justice and Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, and I had the opportunity to fly to Washington, D.C. to advocate for the Crime Survivors Bill of Rights, right? So that helps because, and one thing that we were advocating for as well that we hope to pass on a national level is for when people are dealing with the loss of a loved one via violence, right?
If they were a victim of violence.
Yeah, a victim of violence. And often people don't have the time they got to go to work the next day. They just lost a pivotal member of their family, and they need time to process that.
Right.
But so we're trying to carve out that kind of space where they could get support and have paid time off for that as well, because to organize a funeral, that takes a lot, especially if you're a provider and you have to work every day and dealing with that kind of stuff.
Or if you have to go and seek assistance and you got to take time off to go to agencies or things like that, or counseling, so it
helps.
I think it most definitely helps.
Totally.
I am an advocate and proponent of laws that make it easier for our victims of violence to recover, get back, get to some form of normalcy in their lives, maintain as much stability as they possibly can.
Word up.
So I really like that one. So housing, there's SB 611 rent checks. So this bans landlords from charging fees for a tenant who has paid their rent or security deposit by check. Starting in April of 2025, landlords are required to have a written statement if their security deposit is higher than standard prices.
I think that helps me personally for transparency, right? Because sadly, in some parts of San Bernardino, we do have some slumlords, right?
Yes.
And it's so important for renters to know their rights and knowing that, we know going into this new year the rent's going to go up, but it can't go up higher than 10%, right?
Exactly.
But if people are unaware of that, and some people take advantage of that, people being unaware. So you want to know what your rights are as a renter. And then I also would love to see more programs focusing on the pathway to home ownership.
Yes. Yes. We have a lot of agencies that do, nonprofits that do courses or classes or workshops on how to achieve home ownership, because they have a lot of programs out there that I just don't think people.
I need to tap into that myself.
Yeah, how they. So AB 2347 is about evictions. And this extends the time in which a tenant can respond to an eviction notice within 5 to 10 days. Within 5 to 10 days instead of the typical day of deadline. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense.
Okay.
It kind of gives them a little more time to be able to kind of make their case to advocate for the housing. So I think it helps us. But, I'm an entrepreneur as well. So I know if I'm investing in property, I hope to get some multiple units, right? So the investors deserve to make money as well. So, but it has to be a happy medium. It can't be, hey, you're evicted the day of, you have a family, and that's just pushes them into the unhoused community.
And then it makes them, then now we're dealing with mental challenges on that time on trying, and people don't think well. Yeah. I love this bill because, yes, it gives people more time, but it also gives people a little bit more time to find help.
Yes.
They're not running out there, the day of saying, I got to have this $80,000. I was watching the show and he says, I need $80,000 by tomorrow noon.
Well, good luck.
So it gives you time to go out there. He was like, I just need a few more days to ask some friends. And that's what it is. You just need a few more days to ask some friends. We have agencies out here that do housing prevention funding and things like that. So I really like that one. So here's a fun one. It's a miscellaneous one. It's a fun one. AB 413, parking near crosswalks. So I never knew that this was a problem. So that's interesting because I always thought, but then I went out. I was out in the stores and silly being out in this traffic and all that stuff. But I looked and I said, oh, it isn't marked.
And to me, it makes sense. This is the one around. They have to be like 15
20,
or 20 feet away from the
15
curb.
to 20 feet. It's violating. It's daylighting. It's called daylighting. So it's supposed to reduce the risk of vehicles blocking the view of pedestrians on crosswalks.
So the intention is safety, right? To make sure that people can cross the streets, you know, and make it alive across the street, right? So I understand the benefit of it, and I think it helps us. I just don't like the fine component of it, you know what I mean? But I heard on, I believe it was NPR, where they're saying in San Francisco, because it's, you know, it's going to hit like a truck out there in San Francisco. But they were saying for the first few months they're giving people warnings. So I hope that they do that same process throughout the state.
It's like a $60 ticket or something if you know, or you're noticed. And then my concern with this bill, I kind of thought it was kind of a frivolous bill, but I don't know. I guess it was already something called daylighting. My problem with this bill is that I want more enforcement or focus on how people drive.
I hear you, because it's like, even if we have, there's people out here drinking and driving. So no matter how far away or how clear the view is, they're not going to see it right.
Through the light. I live in Chino, and I go through Chino and Philadelphia and Central on a daily basis. And if you're at a light, you have to wait, because if you're coming on the green or you're about to go on the green, you have to wait. You can't just go on the green. You have to wait, because typically 3 cars are turning that light.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I said, and if there's people already crossing in the cross, it doesn't matter where you park.
Yeah. No,
because you're knocking them out the crosswalk. You know?
And the only one concern is that hopefully these tickets are not just showing up in the social economically depressed communities, right?
Exactly.
We don't want to see that. We want it applied equally throughout the whole entire state.
Exactly.
Not just in marginalized communities where, because that could hurt someone. We just said $60. Like for us, that might be a small ticket, but for some, that might be 4 hours of work. You know,
exactly.
You know,
I don't
half
have
a day.
excess like that to be paying on. You know, but you're right, and I think that we sometimes we have these bills and stuff that we generate or these laws to generate income for law enforcement.
True.
And so that's fine, but I need law enforcement to patrol Central and Philadelphia about the 10 cars that come through the light on a green or a red, you know, when you're going on a green or a red. So there's a lot of other bills. There's some medical debt bills, some bank fee laws that are coming into planning and zoning. There's SB 399, and this is like a union, I don't know, it's a captive audience meeting ban. So it bans employers from requiring employees to attend meetings regarding religious or political opinions, including union organizing. Employers who violate the law can face a penalty fee of $500 per employee for each violation. So I got my start in the union, UFCW Local 1428, and I knew it's a common practice, captive audience, where the agency will come in, they'll bring in, you know, pizza and folks, and they'll tell you how bad the union is, and we don't want the union, and here's all the terrible things, you know, and you had to sit through that as an employee. And then, but there was always limitations on the union coming in,
to
giving
advocate,
their side.
Totally. Word up.
You know,
Word
so I think this is going to bring some parity to union communication and employer communication. What I hope from this bill is that people start asking why. Why is it bad? Why are you telling me that this is not good for me? Why? Ask questions, because they're not facilitated. These captive aren't facilitated for that. It's a one-way communication. Yes. We want you to know why they are, and it's from how we think.
Captive audience. You ain't got no choice, because you're here for work. Exactly. You're not just gonna walk out because that's your livelihood. You know?
Exactly. There's a bill. I'm gonna mention this, and we're gonna. Do we need to take a break, Eric? Yeah. Okay, maybe in a minute. Hold on. I want to talk about Tony Thurmond is sponsoring a bill to ban ICE activity near California schools to protect attendance and funding. What do you think about that? I am all for it. I support anything that's going to protect our kids and our families from bad immigration policies.
Yeah, we know that it's probably going to be a rise in this. That's why you see so many people trying to get ahead of this, you know, sanctuary cities and things of that
They've
nature.
been showing up to city council.
Yeah. I think so many people, I think America has enough space for everyone, right? I believe that so many people that come here are really fleeing famine, war, genocide, right? And then some are looking for a better opportunity to provide for their families. And I think America has space for all, and it's still the land of opportunity. So if you're willing to work hard, I think if you're willing to work hard, isn't that the backbone of America, right? So I think we should make our immigration process a little more streamlined and open more up, because this space is enough for us all.
Yeah.
And that's my personal opinion.
It just never made sense to me as an adult person living in a community where there's predominantly Mexican families. I've always grown up around, you know,
diversity.
Just you know,
Totally.
from South Central Los Angeles to the IE to, you know, I've always had Mexican friends or family. You know, I got Puerto Ricans in New York.
There you go.
So.
The Niquas.
Yeah, so it just doesn't make sense to me that we don't have better immigration policies here in the United States, because we have everybody here.
Definitely.
And they're doing things that are, you know, innovating our communities, and they keep our world going, and you know,
providing vital sources,
essential,
essential.
And you know, and these folks are liars if they tell you that, oh, I want to go pick food in a field.
NPR.
I've done it. I've done it. I've been out there. I've seen it. I tried it. I looked at it closely, and I'm like, that is not something. It is not for the weak.
Totally, and it's a strata of a variety of people, not just one specific sector. No. But it's funny because on one radio station, I mentioned them earlier, I'm not going to say it again because we on KCAA radio, right? But they had, in North Carolina, they did that, right, where they were going to hire the locals, right, to work and do work the fields, and man, none of them survived past 2 days.
No.
None.
I have seen it up close and personal, and I respect
those
workers. I respect the United Farm Workers.
Yes, indeed.
Cesar Chavez left the legacy Dolores Huerta.
Yes, indeed.
I respect that work. I respect those workers immensely, because and I also know what would happen if things happen that weren't supposed to happen, like removing these families from our population, or, you know, sending them to places like detention centers and things like that.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen and what that's going to look like. We're all going to be out there trying to work and pick and do things, and, you know, because we're going to have to, and we're not prepared for that. We're not prepared for that. We're going to have to, you know, this executive that's making these decisions thinks that his, you know, kid got handed a silver spoon and is not going to have to do anything. No, because we're going to have to pay more in order to get the work done. So these are going to become they're going to become really good jobs. Yeah. And so, you know, Johnny that's thinking he's going to Harvard might end up making more straight out of high school.
You know, especially if little Johnny connects with Job Corps or connects with the unions, learns a skill in a trade. I'm big on that.
Because
college is not for everybody.
Not for everybody. College is not for everybody.
And you don't have to incur college debt.
Exactly.
And that's a benefit. So
there's
connect
so many
with the
more
union.
ways that you can be successful without
Totally.
going to college, and we have proven that as a society.
Totally. And then college will always be there. So first get your skill set up, connect with whatever wherever your spirit or talents or gifts lead you, but get that talent under your belt and then pay for your own schooling. You don't have to worry about hundreds of thousands of debt.
That was one of the best things, like when I was going to school back when I was younger, was being able to work and pay off classes and everything at the same time, because it means everything.
Yes, indeed. Freedom.
It does. It means freedom. Well, I think that we're going to wrap up here. We're going to take a break here for a minute. When we come back, we're going to close out this awesome happiness, hope, and help show. Thanks. We'll be right back.
This is KCAA.
St. Texas, ain't no hold'em.
Beyonce turned the NFL game on Christmas into one big Cowboy Carter party. Queen Bey took to the field at halftime of the Texas Ravens NFL game in her hometown of Houston on the holiday, performing songs from her Cowboy Carter album live in front of an audience for the first time. She rode out on horseback while singing 16 Carriages before getting into a melody of other songs off the album. She also brought out Shaboozey and Post Malone. Squid Game starts streaming today. The second season of the record-breaking Netflix show takes place 3 years after the first. It finds player 456 giving up on going to the U.S. and returning to the deadly competition instead. The show's executive producer has said Squid Game will end with a third season that will premiere sometime next year. And Mufasa, the Lion King, is the winner at the Christmas Day box office. The film made $14.7 million, pushing its current total haul to over $64 million domestically. The new vampire film Nosferatu made $11.5 million on its debut day and took second. Sonic the Hedgehog finished in third with $10.3 million, while the Bob Dylan biopic A Complete Unknown made $7.2 million from its first day in theaters. Wicked finished in fifth with over $5 million yesterday, while new releases like A24's Baby Girl and The Fire Inside both made under $2 million on their debut day. That's entertainment. I'm Jacqueline Carl.
KCAA.
Welcome back, San Bernardino, Inland Empire. This is Shazette with Working in the Margins. This is our weekly family assistance radio show, and it generates a podcast too on YouTube. So check that out. When it drops, I'll be posting that. I have a hashtag on my socials. It's called hashtag Working in the Margins with Z. And the things that I talk about on the show, the resources that I share, I post to that hashtag. So if you miss something or want to go back and rewind and see what we were talking about, but you can also, I think I was just telling Ipiani, says I think I have all the socials, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Reddit, the Threads, the TikTok. So you can find it on the socials. I want to thank Ipiani first for coming today, being available to come today to close out this year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy
Hanukkah. Kwanzaa. I want to share a closing thought. But I'm going to let Ipiani share a closing thought. I want you to answer for me. What is your biggest hope for San Bernardino County next year?
My biggest hope for the biggest county in the country, San Bernardino County, is that we lead with love, empathy, grace, and kindness. See one another as ourselves, because we are humanity. We're all blessed to be alive. We are the crew of this time, of this generation, and we're here together. So we can better our collective experience by getting to know one another, loving on one another, speaking life into our lives, and uplifting one another. So those are my hopes.
Oh, thank you. Eric, you got some hopes and dreams for 2025? What you doing? You got a baby girl, so.
Just hopefully, stay healthy, be able to kick it with the fam and stuff like that. Yeah, it's basically just that.
Yeah, good. Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you. Happy
I
New
have
Year, happy
enjoyed
holidays.
this opportunity, this ride, and I've met so many wonderful people this year. And that's my closing thought. I want to tell you about some of the wonderful people that I've met this year, and got to know, and in our communities. And I had a list because
it's been so many.
It's been so many, but besides the wonderful folks here at KCAA, and the wonderful folks at Teamsters, I had Teamsters on last week. Robert Gonzalez, he's like the youngest communications coordinator. I have just enjoyed meeting folks from all of the programs. I want to give a shout out to my guy, Don Love. He's at Inland Empire Community Outreach Center. He donated 24 hams to family assistance last week for our drop-in centers and for our youth homes. Awesome. So he gets a huge shout out. Owen Duckworth at IE Rebound. I got to meet him and his staff, Ron and Marilyn and Jessica. Oh my God, these folks are just awesome. They love our community. They donated toys to our giveaway that we adopted Super 8 last week for Christmas. Awesome. And he gave us so many toys, and we were able to share and give and make so many young kids happy. I want to thank IVRS.
Happy birthday, Mr. Duckworth, as well. His birthday was on Christmas, so yesterday.
Happy birthday, Owen. I'm going to send you a happy birthday song text. Owen, and if you don't know Owen Duckworth or haven't met Owen Duckworth, he's a heart that you want to know.
Amen.
He's just a dear servant. He's a servant.
Yes, indeed.
I want to thank the folks at IVRS. We've referred some folks over to IVRS for their recovery services. They've been a wonderful partner this year. Mary's Mercy Center. Dan Flores over there. He runs that outfit. Mary's Mercy Center. They take in reentry men, and they have beds over there. Molding Hearts, Lakita, wonderful. They just do wonderful work in the community.
Awesome.
Cedar House. These are agencies that help our communities most fragile, our folks that have mental health issues, substance abuse issues. They help our human trafficking, our young folks on the street that are being trafficked. Restoration House of Refuge. Okay. They are wonderful. VARP Incorporated. Gibson House. Wonderful programs. VVFRC in the High Desert. That's Pastor Sharon Green.
Yes.
They help our reentry clients up there. The Citadel Community Care Facilities, they have housing for reentry. And it's just been Lighthouse Social Services here in Colton. Amazing. I love their staff. I've had them on, Daryl
Van Sampson?
Yeah, oh my God.
Shout out to Daryl Van Sampson, Black Ops in the house. We used to work together.
Wonderful organizations. Again, Operation New Hope, Russell. I love your people, your staff, and the work that you do.
Deacon.
And I want to wish all of you a happy new year. And I am looking so forward to working with all of you. I'm going to make sure Biani knows about everything that we do, so he gives pictures, because he's the best photographer. He gets these pictures that just make you feel like, he's there for you. So
thank you.
Again, Happy New Year to everyone. It's been my pleasure and my honor to host this show for the last few months. And I'm looking so forward to doing more in San Bernardino and the Inland Empire in 2025.
Amen.
Take care of each other, stay safe, and I'll see you next year in the new year.
God bless. God bless.
God bless.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio. I'm Rob Martier. Millions of people in the western United States are bracing for more wicked winter weather. At least 9 states are expecting heavy rain, wind, high surf, and snow. Parts of Oregon and Northern California could see up to 8 inches of rain and wind gusts near 70 miles per hour through Sunday. Areas from Utah to Washington are under a winter storm warning. Meanwhile, in the south, parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas are under the threat of a new storm system that could create large hail and some tornadoes this evening. The weather causing flight delays and cancellations as well. According to FlightAware, nearly 5,000 flights are